Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Found in Interpretation podcast. Once again, I'm one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with Brian. Brian, how you doing?
I'm doing great, buddy. And we're here with Tatiana as well. Hi, Tatiana.
Hi, guys. Wonderful to be here.
All right. Really happy to greet you here. Let's kick it. All right, we're here with Tatiana Kaplun. She's a conference interpreter. She's a business diplomatic interpreter with more than a decade of experience in the field. She is also committed conference interpreter and trainer at the University of Strasbourg. She's currently based in Strasbourg, and she is right at this moment, if I'm not mistaken. She holds a degree in translation studies, a master's in interpreting and translating, and a PhD in language sciences from the University of Strasbourg. Did I miss anything?
I like what I do.
And she enjoys it. Well, welcome, Tatiana. And so maybe we should get started with how you got into interpretation.
Well, there is a long version and a short version, and I don't know which one you'd like.
Well, I'd like the podcast version.
Let's do the long version. Then if we need to edit something out, then we can just, take out the boring parts. I'm just joking.
The long version would be that I always enjoyed languages, literature. I had the immense privilege of growing up between two countries, and I was just fascinated by the world of languages, communication. And when I had to pick a degree, I went for translation and interpreting. But at the time, I wasn't even aware of conference interpreting. I didn't know that was a possibility, didn't know that was a thing. And I only discovered that a little bit later on. And I don't know, it's a bunch of mistakes, chances, possibilities that led to this. At one point, I realized that I really wanted to go into conference interpreting. I really wanted to learn how to do simultaneous, not just consecutive. And recently I was clearing out some paperwork and I found lists, like stacks of paper where I was analyzing different interpreting programs where I would like to go. I had completely forgotten I was that organized at the time, but it was really interesting to go back to that. And I applied to do my master's in Bath. And while I was waiting for them to either accept or reject my application, I told everybody who'd listened that my plan A was to go to study conference interpreting in Bath. And my plan B would be to go backpacking across Mexico, Argentina, and Brazil. And I got into Bath, and backpacking across Central and South America is still on my to-do list.
No.
But I don't know. It's something like that. It's a profession that I gradually fell into, but now looking back, it seems like all of my choices were extremely logical, but they seem logical right now. Like the internships I did, the diving booth experiences, the universities, the exchange programs. It felt like the right thing to do back then, but only now do I realize that it was actually the best thing for me to do. So I don't know if that is a podcast version of this story. It's usually a mess, even in my mind.
Yeah, well, we tend to connect the dots once we look back.
Probably,
when we're looking forward, we don't always know where we're heading, but then one thing leads to the next, and then when we look back, we think, oh, well, it was kind of the logical thing to do. And
story of my life.
And what's your? By the way, just to point something out here, what's your language combination?
So I'm Russian A, English B, French C. And I work between Russian and English, and I also work from French into Russian and into English.
And where do you work? Like everywhere in Europe, or?
Well, my home base is Strasbourg, so most of my clients are actually located in Strasbourg. I'm very lucky that way, but I also get to travel for work quite a bit. There was a lull during COVID. I actually fell in love with Strasbourg again, discovered the beauty of the city I lived in, because before COVID, I would be away more than I was in Strasbourg. And now travel is picking up as well. So it's France, Germany, Switzerland. A bit of Italy occasionally, a bit here and there, but mostly European destinations.
Nice. I'm your North American counterpart version, because I used to travel all throughout North America before COVID, and then I discovered how beautiful Canada is again. So yeah.
COVID was a very interesting experience.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a painful experience as well, and I think it was a very sad and tragic experience on the whole. But it was very interesting to reevaluate the professional situation, where we're at, personally, professionally.
Yeah.
Put a lot of things in perspective.
And did you find that, that if I look at the diplomatic interpretation, like interpreting the diplomatic settings, I'm thinking maybe like cocktail parties, or like also like in-camera sessions, like that kind of thing. So do you have to combine consecutive interpretation and simultaneous interpretation depending on the setting?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting mix, because if there's a bigger event happening, then actually quite a few events can be put into the, let's say, under the diplomatic interpreting heading. But then what people usually imagine when they talk about diplomatic interpreting, like the bilateral meetings, like you say, in-camera meetings, then that's mostly consecutive or chuchotage, unless it's a slightly bigger meeting with more participants, and then they might envisage getting a booth somewhere or some other way of ensuring simultaneous. But in my experience, mostly it's been consecutive and chuchotage.
Okay.
Which is nice, because it keeps you on your toes. Well, there's something to it where it's just you and your brain, and you cannot rely on your laptop, you cannot rely on your colleague, you cannot look something up really quickly, check your notes, you're just, there, and that's you, and what you have written down, and what you have in your mind.
Do you think that's why, at least here in our market, many interpreters do not want to do any consecutive whatsoever? They say, well, I'm a simultaneous interpreter, and I don't do consecutive. Do you think that's why?
I wouldn't dream of being able to, assume to answer for everybody, but maybe it's more to do with the fact that you're there, actually there is no glass wall separating you. It somehow feels less safe. I don't know. In the past, I loved doing consecutive, and I wasn't really a big fan of simultaneous. Then I got into sim, and I fell in love with that. And for a few years, I was really worried about doing consecutive. Now I enjoy both, but I can appreciate the safety of being in the booth. It's a remarkable feeling. You're there, you're safe. Nobody can, well, technically they could come in and barge and, make your life harder for you, but there's your colleagues there. So, you're not alone. That's what I'm trying to get at.
And you're relying more on breath mints than your colleagues, I guess, if you're doing chuchotage.
Well, coffee too, always.
And coffee, yes. Lots of coffee. So does that mean your schedule is super sporadic? Like you're all over the place, at all times, or are things scheduled in advance? Because usually with conference interpretation, of an event and you know what the hours are, the agenda. Is this more ad hoc, I guess?
Well, lately even conference interpreting has been a bit ad hoc. Maybe it's because of the languages that I work with. There are things that are scheduled way in advance, they've always been, but there are sometimes meetings that will happen whenever there is an urgent need to discuss a topic or something happens in the world and they need your languages. So I've been seeing more of that over the past several years, but otherwise you have the agenda, you have the speakers, you ideally have your colleagues as well, because there's a counterpart on the other side, or sometimes if it's a bigger event, there might be more than just one interpreter for each side. And usually you get some information, speaking points, or I don't know, indications or where to go looking for background information. And then you get there and everything changes. So again, it's just like conference interpreting.
There you go.
So, and you do some training for interpreters as well, right?
I do, and I did, and this is a bit of a complicated story, because I used to train essentially at the University of Strasbourg, and our program sadly closed a year and a half ago.
Oh.
So It's been a little bit of an adjustment because it's something that I really enjoyed, teaching interpreting at a university. I teach at several other private initiatives, but it's not quite the same feeling, and the setup is not the same. So it's been sad seeing that our program was not the only one hit by the changing times, and but yes, it's something I enjoy doing, and it was really wonderful, seeing interpreters come in, not really sure whether they were in the right place, learning how to do the job, and then growing and blossoming into those wonderful colleagues. And I now work with some of my former students, and it's wonderful.
That must be amazing to be able to be the mentor or the teacher, and then work side by side with them after.
It is. And I still get to work with my mentors, and that's one of the most rewarding experiences in my life. These are people that have helped helped me become the person, the interpreter that I am today. Yeah. And when I get to still learn from them, it's incredible.
Now, does that mean that if there's no interpretation program in Strasbourg, are there other options?
Well, France has 2 more interpreting schools still running. And a few universities in France have programs that train, let's say, liaison consecutive or court interpreters. Okay. But if we're specifically talking conference interpreting, then in the past, that used to be Strasbourg and the 2 Paris-based schools, ESIT and ISIT, and now it's just them. We also have schools in Switzerland and in Belgium. So if you have, French as a working language and you're based in Europe, you still can study. But from what I've been hearing, all of my colleagues have been mentioning that it's harder and harder to, maintain that line, keep languages, keep the budgets, explain that having, a set number of students that you must recruit for each year is not a really good idea in this profession. Mm-hmm. Because if you recruit someone, you need to be sure that once they graduate, they will be able to work in the field.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's just, it's not a decent thing to do. But no, I think I've been getting a feeling that it's a, let's say, recurring issue.
Yeah. Because there's obviously it's all over the news, the closure of the University of Monterrey Interpretation and Translation Master's Program.
That hit really hard because I have no idea why, but I always thought that, well, that's the one that's going to stay. Mm-hmm. All others might fall, but that's the one that is definitely going to stay. Maybe because alongside, the schools in Paris and Geneva, it's one of the oldest, one of the most well-known programs. And so many interpreters, so many interpreter trainers have trained there. It just felt like, it's going to be forever.
Yeah.
So that one hit really hard.
Because they said it was a financial thing, but it hasn't been a money-making enterprise since the inception. So I don't understand it either.
That's the problem with our programs.
It was more of a prestige thing, right? And a think tank, I guess, for language.
Yeah, I've been also following news about Glendon, so I know it's not easy either. Mm-hmm. It's just
it seems to be some sort of a trend that the number of schools is going down, although I don't know how it is in Europe, but here in Canada, we hear more often than not that there's either a shortage of interpreters in some certain areas, or there are a lot more people coming from different cultures. There are a lot of more needs in terms of accessibility. And I find it kind of contradictory to see that training is going down, but in many areas, demand is going up. I don't know if it's because of the fear of technological changes or budgetary constraints, or you name it.
What you're saying is the same that we've been saying on this side of the Atlantic. We see that there is demand. There are international institutions that want to recruit more interpreters, that are struggling to recruit the interpreters in the right language combinations. On the private market as well, it's not always easy to find interpreters. And I don't know, at the same time, I don't think that I I'd like to think that the risk of technology is not the main factor, because I don't like to think of technology as a risk necessarily. But I don't know if it's attitudes, if it's actual budgetary constraints. As you say, I do have some doubts about that. But
it's here in Quebec. We're having this year starting 2 new interpreting programs.
Okay. Conference interpreting.
Conference conference interpreting. Yeah, both. De l'Université of Trois-Rivières.
Okay.
Brian, check which episode number is that. And Laval University.
It was a while ago, but we were kind of we announced it, I guess, on our podcast so that everyone could know that University of Trois-Rivières has a program. It's not a full like master's or anything. It's
Trois-Rivières. It is.
Is it a master's of interpretation?
Trois-Rivières is a master's program, and Laval University it's called micro-programme.
Micro-programme.
It's basically 4 courses just to. Just to for you to learn the ropes, and then you're getting thrown into the market. But
so what you're saying is there is hope.
There's hope,
totally.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
We always have hope.
Well, that's the thing. I think that although it's very unfortunate what is going on with Glendon, I'm not even sure. I mean, I don't even know if there's going to be something following the semester that is probably about to begin for year 2 students. I hear that they're not enrolling new students for basically next year. But on the other hand, Trois-Rivières, I think, and also the micro-programme in Quebec City, I was told that there are 20 students enrolled in that program.
That's very interesting.
And the micro-programme is basically you need to have a bachelor's degree, but it's not a full program like a master's program. So it's sort of an in-between, and I think it's basically just 4 courses. But if you already have a bachelor's degree in translation, which is one of the prerequisites to enter, I don't think it's fixed. I think there's an analysis if you don't have one. But most people are basically people that have completed a bachelor's degree in translation. Then you do that 4-course program over a period of 2 years, and there's an internship with the Translation Bureau. At least that's what last I've heard. And this should get the ball rolling. And I've a few interpreters. I mean, a few people who are actually now in this course have written me. And I could wish them luck, but not only that, they've been telling me how their first week has been, and so far, there is hope elsewhere as well. So if anyone's interested,
that's very
you should check that out.
That's very good to hear, because I've been following these from the FIT Congress that's just concluded in Geneva. And I know that a study was presented about student motivation for enrolling in interpreting and translation programs. I'm still waiting for the report to be published. But I think that would be interesting as well to see whether it's the potential students numbers that can be linked to the trend, or whether there's, I don't know, anything else going on. It would be interesting to see. And I think it's very interesting that in the profession, people are looking into it. So, as you say, there is hope, and maybe with more information, there can be more answers.
There's some big minds out there in the world of interpretation. So,
that is true. And you've had some of them on your podcast, and I'm not one of them. I'm just here for the good time.
But because I was talking to Jonathan Downey, and in Scotland, it's kind of the same thing he says in Europe than it is in North America, where we're getting some bad publicity too from tech companies like Microsoft putting their top 10 professions that are going to be extinct thanks to or because of AI, and translators and interpreters are just lumped into the number one category.
But those lists have been circulating for years.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't do it. I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't do any people who are wanting to be in this profession kind of want to, if like Microsoft or big companies are telling them that this isn't a job that's going to be a forever job,
No, yeah, true.
I wonder
But there's
no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no. I was just thinking that there's nothing more volatile than tech jobs. And think about it.
It's true.
And on the other hand, we're here, we're working, we're quiet because, we don't tend to speak for ourselves because we have to speak for other people.
Unless
all
if
the
you were
time.
doing podcasts.
And well, that's one of the reasons why we decided to do the podcast, to give ourselves a voice and a platform. And so there's nothing more volatile than a tech job. And they're telling us who've been working, and there's a shortage of interpreters. They've been telling us that we're going to lose our jobs. I think that's quite contradictory.
It also might be because maybe not all of them understand how we function, how we work.
Yeah. It's funny. There's never been a language bubble, but there's definitely been a tech bubble, and it has exploded.
But that's the thing. What's that? I think it's called the Kruger effect, where the less you know about something, the more you think you're an expert, and the more you know about something, the less you think you're an expert in something.
Yep.
And to be honest with you,
they're all experts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They're all experts. Before I started my master's program, I remember even back in 2018, I was thinking, AI is going to replace us right away. And not only when I was doing the master's program did I say to myself, the technology is not here, and we're in 2025, soon 2026. And I still share that same opinion now. Some people might think that I'm putting my hand in the sand, but
no, I mean, I think that's a very sensible approach. Yeah. And I mean, technology, don't get me wrong, technology has advanced incredibly, and I've seen it do some really impressive things, including with voice recognition. But I don't think we should be talking about technology replacing human interpreters, because there's just so much more to our job than just, taking words and putting them into words in another language. There is emotion, there is understanding, there's culture, there's nuance, there's just being a human being, working with other human beings to help them communicate.
Absolutely.
And,
now, since Université de Strasbourg is shutting down, is that for sure?
No, the university is.
No, I mean the program.
The program.
The program. It's evolved.
You heard it here first.
Have you ever heard of university shutting down anyway?
Ooh.
Oh, there was one that went under bankruptcy protection in Ontario. So
no way.
Yeah.
Full university.
For the whole university, Laurentian University. Yeah.
Right. I completely forgot about that. Sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, but the program is shutting down. So what are your how are you going to do teaching, mentoring? Are there other avenues that you can?
Well, I offer courses, like short-term courses with other universities and programs, and a couple of private initiatives as well. And then also when it comes to mentoring and organizing, trainings, I do quite a lot of things with AIC. And 2 years ago, it's going to be 3 years ago now, we started a mentoring and outreach program for our region, which has allowed us to not only pair up beginner interpreters with more experienced colleagues to, help them find, let's say, a point of contact, somebody they can trust, somebody that can be there, answer their questions, help them during those first years on the market, because it's not easy starting out on a new market. It's definitely not an easy job doing it in Paris or in France in general, because there's a lot of admin, and not just that. It's a very difficult market to break into, maybe like all markets, but.
So is that like an AIC mentorship program, basically?
Yeah, exactly. And we also developed an outreach program within that. So we invite colleagues or trainers from other professions to carry out information sessions for not just AIC pre-candidates or members in our region, but we've opened most of our sessions to all interpreters based in France, and for the sessions that we conduct in English, then the whole entire. And it's been a very rewarding experience as well.
You said that it's hard to break into the market in Paris or in France, perhaps in general. And that's why I'm asking here. I feel that there's a lot more need for official certification in Europe, differently than, let's say, in Canada, where most interpreters are not certified.
When you mean certified, you mean degrees?
For instance,
or?
I'll give an example. I'm in Quebec, and there's OTIAC, which is l'Ordre des traducteurs, terminologues, interprètes du Québec. And we're barely, I don't know, 30, maybe even less, perhaps around 30 interpreters in a pool of about 5,000 translators. And most interpreters working in our market are not part of OTIAC. They just work freely, and most clients, I don't even think they care. On the other hand, in Ontario, I think, Brian, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's pretty similar with the ATIO, the Association of Translators and Interpreters of Ontario. And there's the federal government interpreters too that are certified through the federal government to do federal government work. But yeah, no, there's a lot of freelancers who are professional interpreters, but not certified necessarily.
It's very different from what's the situation like here in France, because, well, we have AIC, which, we have the French region in AIC. There is also several regional, not really regional compared to AIC national associations. Like there is the SFT, which is a Société Française des Traducteurs, and they also have quite a few interpreters among their ranks. A couple of other associations as well that are also doing a really good job protecting the profession. We have a dedicated association for sign language interpreters, but that doesn't really make starting out on the market easier or harder. What matters is the degree, and also the fact that you need to know people, you need to break into the market because somebody recommends you for an assignment, or somebody can vouch for your quality. And if you're a beginner interpreter who never trained in a French school, then, well, who can vouch for you? And clients want that reassurance.
In a way, though, it seems like it's a very supportive community in Europe.
It is.
I find in Canada, I don't know if I know very many AIC interpreters, AIC certified interpreters. Like, I think the mentorship program, like when I first started interpreting, would have been awesome. But I don't think, Alain, have you heard of AIC Canada doing like some kind of mentorship program for new interpreters?
No, I haven't heard. I know a few interpreters here and there that told me that they're in the process of joining AIC, but I think that you have to be. I think that somebody has to vouch for you, and there's
it's
also
like
a waiting period, a sponsorship.
Yeah.
Whereas, you just need 3 colleagues to confirm that you are an interpreter to become a pre-candidate.
But they have to be
a member. Yes, exactly. But to become a member, you need to have worked with at least 3 colleagues. Well, depending on your language combination, for 2, 3, 4, 6, the number can grow depending on how many languages you have.
But since there are very few AIC people here in Canada, then it's really hard to find someone, one, that you've worked with, 2, that you need to find 3 of them. I don't even know if I know one of them. And we've interviewed 40 people on our podcast, and I meet people all the time.
Well, AIC mentoring programs exist in 3 regions so far. There is one in AIC France, one in AIC Germany, and one in AIC Belgium. And those 2 programs existed way before we created ours, and they actually helped us set up the program. But other regions are looking into it, including yours. So you might have more possibilities to meet with
I find that would be so helpful for a profession.
And I mean,
definitely.
I got involved in the process because informally I benefited from some version of a mentoring program, because when I moved to Strasbourg, all of my colleagues were extremely welcoming. They were just like available to answer questions, including like silly questions about setting up your business, getting an accountant, like how do things work in France? Because every country is so different. Every market is extremely different. And what you say we're a welcoming and close-knit, supportive community. Well, the bureaucracy is the other end.
Yes,
since when bureaucracy is easy in any place?
Well, let's say there are countries where it's a national sport.
Now, do you find yourself doing a lot of more Russian interpretation, or do you?
A lot of. Well, actually, that's a tricky one. I used to work a lot in multilingual settings where I would be working mainly into Russian from English and French. Now it's a lot of bilateral work, like bilingual work, Russian to English, vice versa. And I've also started doing more French into Russian, French into English. So it's, I don't know. You should have asked me that ahead of time. Then I would have written down some numbers.
How many? Yeah.
And I would have had some actual statistics.
See?
But I'm not. I used to be organized, and then I became, I don't know, a grown-up person of the left.
You became an interpreter.
I was about to say that, but then thought it would sound wrong.
By the way, you must have heard, because of your language combination with Russian, but there was an interpreter that was suspected, I think that might be the right word, of spying actually in one of the meetings. Is there a harder, let's say, background check on certain language combinations, or is it the same process? Because here I never had a background check for my language combination here in Canada. So is it different now? Because the political situation with Russian in general is tricky. So is there anything about that?
There have been a few stories recently, and with several languages actually. And I always find it really disconcerting when journalists turn to interpreters. It's usually when, I don't know, it feels like it doesn't really feel safe because we're always privy to information and we treat information confidentially. We have this code of ethics. We understand that information needs to be treated with absolute secrecy and confidentiality. And most of our clients understand that and trust us. And when stories like that appear, it undermines the entire profession. And it's not a very healthy environment. Sometimes it's the perception, which is why I think that it's very important how we maintain our presence, with our clients, with our colleagues, but also on social media. And I find that especially...
I've stopped writing. No, I mean, I used to write things on social media, and now basically Instagram pictures. That's it.
Which is still good. But
yeah, I don't post anything either on my own. It's just like basically like promoting our podcast, and
it's a wonderful podcast.
Oh, thank you.
And you're doing a really good job promoting it. I was very, very happy when you reached out, actually.
Oh, well.
But somehow I thought that you had a stronger online presence. Now that you're saying you don't post so much, go back.
I mean, personal stuff. I mean, the podcast
oh, yeah, no,
thing.
Personal. No, personal, I never post anything.
Yeah. I have a friend who posts all my stuff on LinkedIn for the business. So he finds jokes and then just puts jokes up, like, but like about language, like not about like, anything. Like we don't go post,
you don't want to be canceled for something.
Coldplay concerts and stuff like that, right?
We don't want our podcast to be canceled.
No, exactly.
No.
So what does your agenda look like coming up? Like you're probably got a pretty full agenda because it was hard enough to find a date where the three of us were working. So.
No, that's the thing. What you were asking about before, like what's the work situation like? It used to be very, very predictable. Like in France, everybody knew that, October will be your busiest month, April as well, maybe May. Nothing will happen between January and maybe around, end of December, early February, and then the entire country just goes on vacation, bed rest around August. Yes. Now it's a lot less predictable. Like I've had some work in August as well. September is actually much busier than I thought it would be. October is the traditionally busy month, but I'm looking at a quieter November and I'm hoping for a quiet December because if December gets busy, it's never a good sign.
No, I agree.
Except for your bank account.
Well, that yes, but
you buy bigger Christmas gifts.
But no, in France they don't have to pay you right away.
Here at 30 to 60 days usually.
Yeah, so if you work in December, you won't get paid in time to get your Christmas gifts.
Right.
Easter, like good investments.
Yeah, Easter presents.
But no, it's the agenda is filling up nicely, so I really can't complain.
That's good.
And stuff is keeping me busy as well. So
because I had a meeting with a bunch of interpreters, like a get together at the end of June with a lot of the interpreters in Montreal, and a lot of them were saying that they've seen a decrease in their numbers, like maybe about 10% less or 15, even 20% less. But have you seen or have your colleagues been saying like that there's a decrease?
It's definitely not the same as it used to be 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a very interesting experience during COVID, because originally all of the work disappeared, like I think it did for everyone.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, COVID turned out to be a very good time for me professionally. Never thought it would happen, but it was a very good time. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that at least in Europe, it was the same for quite a few colleagues. Because we had several hubs that, like, international institutions had hubs within them so they could carry on working. Okay. Then people, figured out how to work from home as well. And
by
then
hubs, by hubs, you mean like people had their own little like cubicles so they wouldn't, would respect all the COVID social distancing?
Yeah, like the actual booths, we would just have one person per booth, for instance. Or in some institutions, they put in plexiglass separations. So you could have 2 or 3 people in the booth, but, they couldn't like touch each other and had to go out when it wasn't their turn to, make sure that there was
didn't have to cough on each other and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I don't know. I have a feeling that work has been fluctuating for a while. And I don't think many people have sat down to do the maths to see how bad it's actually become, if it's become bad. I know I haven't. And I know that 2 or 3 years ago, I felt like work was really on the downturn. And my accountant had actually asked me to write down the numbers so that we could add them up. And turns out I just had a really 2 or 3 really quiet months, but the rest of the year was still okay.
Okay.
So I haven't done that since. I've just gone with the flow, thinking if I think it's really bad, next month will be better. And I don't think I'm really in a position to complain. But I don't know. I think maybe it would be good to sit down and do the maths. I know that I have 3 colleagues, off the top of my head. Yeah, 2 definitely, maybe 3, who've actually done the maths.
Okay.
And they know what's happening with their work from one year to the other. Like, they make lists of days in the booth, days remotely, days consecutive, days spent translating. So they know what's happening with work.
They must love Excel sheets.
I know one person does it with Excel. One person does it like old-fashioned paper and pencil.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, again, I'm not that organized. But some of them have been sharing results or like their observations, either on social media or in during get-togethers, where everybody starts panicking and they're like, "Oh no, it's okay. Let me tell you, I did the research." And well, it seems okay. So I'm assuming that if people did the maths, I can trust them, and probably I should sit down.
I can tell you, in my case, since for tax purposes, I have to do the follow up because it's my company basically that invoices the clients, and I have to do like every year when I meet my accountant, he says, well, last year that was, all the revenue expenses and all of that. And because of that, I have to do the tracking every month because I have to file reports to the government to give back some of the GST and PST that we have here. And generally, and through that process, I've been able to track the ups and downs of how the market has been shifting.
See, that probably makes sense. In France, you do it every 3 months, which means that you might have a very slow January and a dismal February. But if you do a lot of work or if you hire a lot of colleagues in March, the numbers that you give to your accountant will actually look okay. And again, this is why I have a feeling that the overall picture year to year is, it's
okay.
more than okay.
Yeah.
It's just that it feels like it doesn't always feel good.
No, I know.
The other reason why I might be the wrong person to ask is that ever since I started out in this profession, not so much translation and liaison interpreting, so not so much business interpreting, but ever since I started doing conference interpreting, colleagues have always told me that, it's so much worse now. Like, it used to be so good, now it's so bad. And I could actually see colleagues retiring from the profession or deciding that, okay, it's really hard to make a living doing just interpreting. And yet, I've made it work, and I have colleagues who've made it work, and I have colleagues who continue making it work, and I have students who've made it work. So I have a feeling that the situation isn't as good as it used to be, but it's still okay for quite a few of us to be here.
Yeah, well, I think that
I don't know if it's a very privileged approach.
No. I mean, I think that there's
maybe your podcast will be cancelled because of me.
No, not at all, not at all. I'd like to. I mean, I can see quite a few things that could get me canceled, but I see this. I see this in three ways. First of all, there's always some negative people. All right, there's always some people who the sky is always exactly exactly. It's always dark outside. It's always raining, and or glass half full, half empty, or you name it. That's the first one. The second thing is, I think that some people, whatever the topic, they tend to see the past as better than the present for fear of the future, in many, many ways. And the third one is, a lot of people are not doing the things that they have to be doing, either in order to succeed or to become better interpreters, or and how I'm trying to find a nice way to say,
like adapting.
Ils sont pas à bonne place. There's to be a successful interpreter. It's more than just being good in the microphone. You need to do your marketing. You need to do some networking. I'm taking a course right now at university to learn more about certain aspects of the profession, and I decided to do a university course. And I'm doing this through, although I'm doing the podcast, although I'm working full time, although I've got family responsibilities and the mortgage and all of that, but I'm still taking a few hours of my time every week just to go back to university to do this one single course that I think will help me to be a better interpreter. But
see, that's amazing.
But not
everyone can do it.
Not only that, I don't think everyone either thinks about doing these things, has the energy to do it, or is willing to do it. It takes a lot of effort. And the recipe for success is not a straight line. It is unique for everyone. And I think that if you do the things that you feel, if you go as far as you can and you hit as hard as you can, you'll eventually get somewhere. But being overly negative about either the number of contracts, profession, AI, the economy, recession, Trump, you name it, I don't think it does service to anyone. And it's all about mindset. I agree. If you have the right mindset, if you're smart, whatever the situation, you'll succeed.
But it's absolutely right. And the words you say about mindset, you need to have the right mindset. You need to be willing to think outside the box. You need to be willing to put in the hard work. That said, I don't think that's something that's particular to just our profession. I think to succeed in any profession, you need that. I think there are very few professions where you can just, get a degree or complete your training, sit down and, have work come at you and succeed and then retire and be very happy with your life. I think these days the situation is different. For instance, we need to go looking for work. We need to market, we need to network. And these are not dirty words, but you also need to train and to make sure that, for instance, if you go into, a specific field, you're there, you're on the level, you have the knowledge, because these days maybe same as before as well, I don't know, but you really do need to be able to speak the same language as your clients, deliver the high quality interpretation that they're paying for. And it's a lot of work. It's a profession where if you are a freelancer, and probably if you're a staffer as well, you don't really get many weekends. And even if you do, you still spend them learning or practicing or working on some skill set or the other. And what you say about a university course, I mean, I did that as well. And I've seen how much it has helped me, because I actually did 3 legal courses, because I noticed an influx of legal interpreting work and like legal conference interpreting. And I was spending a lot of time on meeting preparation. And then I thought, okay, it's helpful. It's getting me there, but it's not enough. There are things that I don't understand, because countries and have different legal systems. And I did 3 different courses from 3 different countries. And it was a lot of work. And I mean, I'm really glad that I did.
And
That's what I'm doing. Yeah, that's grille d'analyse pour le droit du Québec.
I mean, now I can say that I enrolled at the Sorbonne to study law. I never graduated, but I did it. I didn't do it for the degree.
No,
I did
exactly.
it for the knowledge, for the vocab, for the context. And I'm really happy that I did. Plus, I got to actually experience it. It was a remarkable experience, and then COVID happened.
Yeah,
but
like Alain says, like we adapt. Like you've adapted really well to the new situation, the new world, I guess.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The market is really tough, and for some languages, it's actually gotten tougher. And I've seen colleagues retire from this profession and go into other professions. And I'm still seeing colleagues who are working on completely new skill sets, because they don't necessarily think that they will have a future in this profession several years from now on.
But even if you're comfortable, you should think like that. No. Even if you're comfortable, you should think like that.
True.
Even when things are
you need a backup plan.
Yeah,
but I don't have one yet.
But it's more than, for me, it's more than a backup plan.
You're going to go backpacking in South America is what you're going to do.
I'm going to go backpacking, because I recently sat down with a couple of colleagues and we thought, like, what else can we do? Let's say no work tomorrow. What else can we do? And I mean, I know
during COVID, I wanted to be a mailman.
That's really cool. That's so much cooler than what
I said to myself. No, because they know we were stuck in our houses and all of that. And I said, well, I'll be able to walk outside all day.
Yeah, get some exercise.
Yeah.
Like, I like baking, I like gardening, but that's it. I don't know if those are very profitable professions, but I'm very happy so far with it.
There's a coffee shop a few blocks from my street that also sells flowers and plants and that kind of thing. So it's stick to what you're doing now, because you're very good at what you do now. So.
Well, thank you.
And even from all the social media and like how I found you, like to be able to come on our podcast, like you're doing like an awesome job with like all the social media stuff, and you're promoting yourself really well. Like you're.
I don't like to think of it as me promoting myself, but especially since we started the mentoring program, it's been more about promoting opportunities for other colleagues to do what we've been talking about, do more training, get access to more information. Like we've done sessions on accounting, on managing your business, on stress management, on working for institutions and sitting the tests. We've done an amazing session on interpreter health and well-being. And we've actually invited health professionals to talk to our participants about auditory health, about vocal health. So I'd like to think that I can shift into that, because I like the idea of having each other's backs, of helping. And I think especially now when, clearly we've been coming back to this question all the time. Colleagues feel like, the situation, the market isn't quite what it used to be, that life is getting harder. I feel now the spirit of community, of teamwork, of, being there for each other is more important than before.
Absolutely.
And now it's good to be a part of something like that.
Well, thank you very much for being part of this podcast.
Yes.
Well, thank you both. It's been a pleasure.
So on that note, everyone, I forgot to mention at the very beginning, but don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll see each other for another episode of Found Interpretation Podcast. Tatiana, Brian.
Yes, thank you so much, Tatiana. That was awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.